going to find a big hollow spot, something like that in the tree. And in that tree is where Chippy Squirrel was born. Now Chippy Squirrel had a lot of brothers and sisters, and a mother and father. And their fun, they would just have, their fun was climbing down the tree and playing and running around and everything. But in the fall around, before Thanksgiving, before the snow comes, it gets cold. And the nuts are just right. But what they like the best is the English walnut tree that's right behind our house.
Which
now,
one, Pop?
they have to get from the, it's right as you come down the steps, the English walnut tree is a big, big tree just loaded with nuts.
Oh, by the bell? Where the bell
By the bell.
Okay.
So what they do, Mommy Squirrel, around Thanksgiving time said, okay, squirrels, everybody up, we're going to go out, we're going to pick nuts today. So all the squirrels come down to the kitchen and they have nut cake and nut bread and everything, nut cereal. They had a beautiful breakfast and someone said, where's Chippy? I don't know, I didn't see him. Will you go up there and get that little Chippy out of bed? He's got to come down to work today. So he went up and he rubbed his eyes and he rubbed his eyes. He said, oh, I don't want to get up. I'll be up later. No, Mommy's going, you get down here right now. So he came down and he got on the table and he took a spoon. No, I didn't. Mommy Squirrel said, Chippy, you have to go to work. So all the squirrels, what they do is they climb over to that, they run across the top of the fence. Then they jump on that old maple tree and they climb on top of the next maple tree. And then they got to those little apple trees. And you can see the apple trees bending because they jump on them. And then they go over on that stone wall and up to the English walnut tree. Well, they're the best nuts. Those nuts are like that. And they can just about get their mouth around. And they have to climb down. Well, they started going and they start getting the nuts. And of course, they love to gather them. And Mama Squirrel said, now Chippy, look it out there. All your brothers and sisters are working. Why won't you go and get some nuts? I don't want to get nuts. I just want to play. Well, Mama Squirrel said, I'll tell you what, Chippy, get one nut. Just one. Okay, and he jumped down and he ran across the fence and over on the maple tree and up on the apple trees. And he liked to climb, so he climbed right to the top of the English walnut tree, and there was a big nut up there. And of course he couldn't get it because his mouth wasn't big enough. And plop, 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 the nut went all the way down to the ground. And he said, his brother said, Chippy, you've got to get a small nut. So he went and found one of the right sides. And he put it in his mouth, and he boom, 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 across the fence, and he got it up to the big hollow log, and he dropped it down, and boom, 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 and he watched it go, and he said, hey, that was fun. So he ran back, and he got another one. All day long, they worked so hard that they filled the bucket, or they filled that hole in one day. All the nuts are right to the top. And Mommy Squirrel said, we never had so many nuts in all our life. What will we do? And someone said, let's have a party. Chippy didn't even know what a party was. So the squirrel said, Chippy, when we have a party, we have nut bread and nut cake and nut pie and nut ice cream and nut salad and nut candy.
Nut jello.
And nut jelly. And Mama Squirrel said, and you can invite all your friends. So Chippy had a friend over here, on the other side of that clearing there. It was a skunk. It was one of his favorite friends. So he ran down and said, oh, you're invited to the party. But when he got over to, I think it was that tree over there, that's where poor Mrs. Lane Squirrel was. So Mrs. Lane Squirrel couldn't come to the party because she can't walk. So Chippy went down and said, Mrs. Lane Squirrel, we're having a party. We want you to come to it. Oh, and she said, I can't go, Chippy, because I can't walk, and my crutch is broken, and I can't get around. Chippy said, oh, don't worry. So Chippy went out to the garden, picked up lots of leaves and lots of little branches, and made her a nice fire. He got her nice and warm. And then he went and found all his friends, the fox and the chickens and the geese and the squirrels and everybody. And then that morning, the party. It was a beautiful sunny morning. There was snow on the ground. But what the kids liked to do when the snow was on the ground was go up to Ariel and go down the sliding board. And they would climb up and whoosh, boom, down in the snow. And they were having such a time. Well, anyway, it was time for the party. Everybody went to the party except poor Mrs. Lane Squirrel. She couldn't go. So you know what Chippy did? He went and got a big, big basket and filled it up with nut bread and nut cake and nut pie and nut jelly. And it was so big he couldn't carry it. So he made a sleigh out of a piece of wood. And he dragged that sleigh all the way across the lawn, down in between there, and over to Mrs. Lane Squirrel's house. And he built her a nice big fire, and he brought her all his food, enough food to last her the whole winter. So she was so happy, and he was the only one that took care of poor Mrs. Lane Squirrel. And she loved him so much. So remember, when you're playing in that tennis, in the tennis court, and you look up that tree, you're liable to see squirrels coming out. Although the nuts aren't ready, if you go up underneath the chestnut or the English walnut tree, you're going to see little green nuts on the floor right now. But what happens, they don't know the nuts aren't ready. And if you watch close, you'll see them up there, and you'll see them hopping along the apple tree. You'll see the branches bend down. They'll climb up, and they'll knock a nut off, but the nuts are no good. They don't know it. They don't seem to know it. And when next time you go up, you look for those little green nuts. And if the squirrels would leave them there, they'd get to be big nuts, but they get over anxious. The guys like Chippy that don't know any different, and just goes gets them. One year, we had a big nut. It was so many nuts we didn't know what to do with, and we could see the squirrels taking them. But we could see where they were leaving them. They had their thing full. And if you look up on top of the ice cream bar, and you look at the signs, you'll see 3 beams coming out.
Yeah.
And those beams are hollow.
No.
And they took the beam and they loaded those to the top.
Oh
Well, we know it. But they didn't know we knew what they were doing. Well, at Thanksgiving time, their nuts, we didn't take nuts from them because they had plenty. We went down, and I think we took 2 bushel of nuts out of those little, they're like trots. And they're the best. Oh, those nuts are so good. But remember, when you go up later, look on the ground and you'll see the nuts. And if you watch that apple tree, you might see those squirrels going back and forth. And you might see one up in the tree. Usually you can tell when they're up there because the branches are kind of flipping around. So every time you go up, look and see them. And don't forget to say, hi, Chippy.
How can you tell which one's Chippy?
Well, the Chippy's the little one.
He's the little guy?
He's the little guy.
My daddy said he was big. I got the wall.
What?
It just goes to show what your dad